When I see YouTubers make videos about what features they want to see return to Assassin's Creed, they usually gloss over a few in some sort of top 10 or top 5 list, and I found myself agreeing with a lot of these Assassin's Creed YouTubers who make these lists. But I wanted to just stick to one feature that I've wanted to return since Assassin's Creed Revelations. And immediately when I explain what this feature is, you're going to point out that it existed in Assassin's Creed 3 and probably in some other Assassin's Creeds. But there's a very specific version of this feature that I want to return that I just don't understand why it hasn't. And I just want to talk about it, rant about it, because Assassin's Creed Shadows might actually have this feature return, and I hope that it returns in the way that I would want. What I'm talking about is the feature of having assassin recruits, a recruit system. For the uninitiated, if you haven't played these games or if you don't know what I'm talking about by the name of it, basically the recruit system in Assassin's Creed functions in some sort of mentorship program, if you want to call it that, where the assassin has these recruits they can call on missions. So basically when you're going around the open world or in missions where it would make sense for the assassins to be able to access, you can call these assassins and they can hunt down and kill enemies for you. You can highlight an NPC, call them to action, and they basically kill that enemy for you. And it's a really cool way of enriching gameplay and adding to the lore and the narrative of it. They also allow you to send them on missions across the entire continent sometimes and gather XP and level up for you to make them stronger. And probably the best version, or my favorite version of this, is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. They kind of improved on it in Assassin's Creed Revelations, but I don't know why it didn't hit as hard on that game. So my golden standard is still Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I think the way that it handles its assassins recruits is just absolutely spectacular. And the reason why I say that it hasn't happened since Revelations is because even though recruits did appear in Assassin's Creed 3 and they actually were more fleshed out and were able to do many cool things that I want to see return, what I mean specifically with recruits is assassin recruits. We haven't seen you be able to command other members of the Brotherhood since Assassin's Creed Revelations. In Assassin's Creed 3, they were just these random characters that didn't have assassin outfits and didn't really belong to the Order, who were running around just helping you as some sort of revolution simulator game. And even though the mechanics were great, the aesthetics of it was really lacking for me, and this is something that I've been wanting to see return since then. You've had some sort of crew mechanic or ally mechanic since then in Assassin's Creed Black Flag with your boat crew, in Odyssey with your ship crew, and you can also send someone to kill in Odyssey with a special ability. You had it in Valhalla with your Jomsviking and things like that. But again, these are just generic ally systems and recruit systems that don't really feed or serve the assassin fantasy. The best in between was Assassin's Creed 3, where you had non-assassins serving the assassin fantasy, and that wasn't even enough for me. Assassin's Creed Shadows is kind of rumored to have this spy infiltration system where you can recruit spies and send them on missions, and that sounds exactly what I would want. But again, I'm waiting for them to be actual assassins. I'm waiting for your hooded assassin to send other hooded assassins to actually assassinate and do assassin things to certain enemies. So I'd love to see the spy system in AC Shadows kind of act further than just gathering information for your missions and lead into some gameplay moments where you can send these assassins to take out a target. That would be the greatest thing ever. And maybe by the time this video is released, we've seen some sort of gameplay teaser in an event or something that confirms this. At the time of recording, all that it's said to do, these spies, is kind of gather information if you send them around the country and kind of serve you on your missions, which first of all is really, really cool, but second of all, doesn't confirm A, that these persons are assassins. We don't even know if the main protagonists are going to be assassins, and B, it doesn't confirm if you can use them in gameplay. And this is my dream feature, honestly, the main feature that I would want to see return in any Assassin's Creed game. That I don't know how complicated or realistic it is to demand, and I know some games don't have that narrative focus that would justify something like this, the way the Brotherhood did with Ezio becoming a literal mentor, actually recruiting assassins. And by the way, Brotherhood has the best side content in any game I've ever played in the way that it links into the story. But I think that there's definitely something to be said for the fact that we need this system to return. Assassin's recruits. And I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is probably the best Assassin's Creed game to see it return in. Reason one is because it's a final return to the full-scale Assassin Brotherhood. It's not the hidden ones, it's not the proto-assassins. This is set in a year where the Assassin's Brotherhood, known as the Assassins, actually exists. And it's a style of game that's being described as a very open-ended game where you can kill down and hunt down targets while you're building this order and gaining strength. There's also supposed to be some sort of hideaway or base building kind of mechanic, so it would just make sense when you have these mechanics to then be able to recruit spies, make them assassins, and then send them on missions. It would be the coolest thing in the world, and I think it's a very natural way of involving the narrative with the mechanic and serving the assassin fantasy. I think Valhalla was an absolute travesty by giving you these Jomsviking that only helped you in combat and never in stealth. I think that Assassin's Creed 3 almost got it right by expanding the mechanics but then not really giving you that assassin fantasy, because you called in your recruits and it was like some French butcher with a butcher knife killing these guards instead of some guy in a hood with a hidden blade doing it. And maybe this sounds a little bit petty or nitpicky for you, but for me it's a very big deal. I think that this was one of my favorite mechanics when I first played it. I remember playing Assassin's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood when I was a kid, right after finishing AC1 and AC2. I was doing this kind of like a marathon of it. And when I first discovered that there was a recruit mechanic, because back then, like, there wasn't that much coverage on Assassin's Creed and I wasn't that involved in the online community, so I had no idea that this was coming. So imagine my surprise or my emotional shock when I was playing AC Brotherhood, thinking it was just going to be some generic sequel to AC2 mechanically speaking, and suddenly you can recruit your own assassins, choose their outfits and their weapon loadouts and their focus on whether they're, they're tanky or lethal, and call these assassins at any point in the game. Like, you can just run around the map and call them to kill guards whenever you need. And in certain missions, you can do this as well. My favorite thing to do, this is completely random, I'm just going on a rant now, but my favorite thing to do, and I would do this for years, is wait until all my assassins are around level 9 or level 10 and go to the last mission of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where you have this huge fight against Cesare Borgia. And there's this huge fight where you would only be able to run around with the Apple of Eden and kill guards with the Apple of Eden, which I honestly found so mechanically boring. I get that narratively it's a very climactic end to Ezio's journey and finally, getting the apple, but at the same time, I found it so mechanically boring. So what I actually did was send all of these assassins to fight in front of me, and I would just like hop onto some sort of merchant stand so I can't be shot or hit, and look at my assassins fight these NPCs. And it was just the coolest thing, the coolest set piece in the world. And if you want to do it in AC Brotherhood, go do it now. Select that mission, I think it's called Requiem or something like that. All roads lead to, I think is the mission. And send these assassins and watch them fight. It's just the most immersive and satisfying thing in the world after you've been training them for a long time. And that feeling of emotional attachment and immersion into your own recruits, I never really had again, even when they were fleshed out in Assassin's Creed Revelations. So if you're interested in giving your thoughts on what you would want in terms of a recruit system for Assassin's Creed Shadows, that'd be very interesting, because I know that I want it, but I don't really know how it would work or what I would specifically want from it. I'd love to know your opinions on it and how you think it would function, because a lot of the times I feel that people who don't have an outlet like a YouTube channel have incredible ideas that kind of get lost in the noise. So I love reading comments and hearing what people's opinions are on how something could work in terms of a game development or game mechanic way, because a lot of people who don't have the resources to make it a reality or the platform to speak about these thoughts still have incredible ideas that need to be listened to and spoken about. So if you're comfortable sharing how you think it would work and what you would want to see, I would love to hear your thoughts. If not, I've got a video where I discuss my general thoughts on the gameplay so far that we've seen from Assassin's Creed Red, which I think that you'll enjoy, so you can watch that video now.